Hey Google, tell me some river jokes.
Okay, what's a river's favorite movie? The Fast and the Fluvial. Here's another. Why did the river break up with the mountain? Too many issues downstream. Do you know what they say about river puns? They are damn funny.
Rivers contribute to shaping the land more than ice, wind, and waves combined. The main river processes, called fluvial processes, are erosion, transportation, and deposition. Rivers and their tributaries get their water from a drainage basin, and they stay separate because of a ridge of high land called a watershed. The rainfall on opposite sides of watershed feed into different drainage basins and the river systems that occupy them. All the precipitation that falls within a drainage basin will eventually find its way to a stream, either by running along the surface or flowing through soil. All these smaller streams will eventually come together and lead to the final large river, which will empty out into the sea. A drainage pattern is the overall layout that a river and its tributaries make in an area. Drainage patterns vary due to different rock types, structure, and the slope of the land the river developed on. The most common drainage pattern is the dendritic pattern, such as the river Ganges. The tributaries of the main river resemble the branches of a tree. Radial drainage patterns are mostly found surrounding an isolated hill or volcano, and lack many tributaries. Trellis drainage patterns form when tributaries join the main river at right angles, most visible in a ridge and valley landscape. The rock underneath the main river is much softer than the surrounding rock, resulting in the river creating and occupying a deep valley floor. Finally, deranged drainage patterns have a chaotic appearance. Rivers flow randomly across the land, often rejoining with themselves, creating marshy wetlands. The energy of running water that gives rivers their unique shape. A river uses its water to erode rock from its position, transport the material to a new position, and deposit material further downstream. The amount of energy a river has in order to shape the landscape is influenced by the volume of water that's being carried at a given time. The greater the discharge, the greater the ability to erode. The gradient or slope of the landscape, the shape of the river channel, and the flow of the river affects the speed of water in the river. The flow is how fast the river is moving, and can be affected by... Waterfall is a point where there is an interruption in the river profile and the water makes a vertical drop. A waterfall is normally found in the youthful or upper stage of a river, but can also appear at the very end because of isostatic change and river rejuvenation. A waterfall is created by river erosion and creates even more erosion depending on the height of the waterfall, the discharge of a river, as well as the type and structure of the rock river flows over. Most waterfalls develop where the river meets a band of softer, less resistant rock after flowing over harder, more resistant rock. As a result of differential erosion, the water quickly erodes the softer rock by the processes of hydraulic action and abrasion. It begins to cut into the softer rock, steepening the gradient of the river. As the falling water hits the softer rock on the riverbed, its energy cuts a deep hole called a plunge pool directly beneath the fall. The falling water also begins to undercut the softer rock of the waterfall, mainly by hydraulic action, creating an overhang. In time, the band of hard rock is deeply undercut and becomes unstable. The overhang eventually breaks off and collapses into a plunge pool. The processes of undercutting and collapse are repeated many times. As a result, the waterfall gradually retreats upstream. This creates a valley with vertical sides called a gorge. Waterfalls are temporary though. Wait. But at least they're fun to ride down. Nature's water slide. Woo! And a water park wouldn't be fun without. Meanders are the bends that develop along the course of a river. They are the result of both erosion and deposition. When discharge is low, a river will deposit some sediment on its beds. The moving water then has to weave around these bars of sediment, creating deeper paths where most of the water flows and shallow areas where less water flows. The water that takes the longer route around the meander will have to travel faster, meaning this section of river will have more energy. The water hits the bank and begins to erode it, creating a small bend in the river. The bend is then widened by erosion. The bank is undermined, especially during periods of high discharge, and eventually collapses. After the surface flow of water hits the outer bank, it corkscrews and flows along the riverbed. In doing so, it transfers the eroded material sideways and forward to the inner bank. Here, the water is slow moving and has less energy, so the material is deposited. As erosion on the outside bank and deposition on the inside bank continue, the meanders begin to migrate. They move from side to side across the valley floor and migrate downstream. Thank you for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment on what you would like to see me make a video on next. For my regular viewers, sorry for taking so long. YouTube is just a fun hobby for me, and I just have more important things on at the moment in my life. But thanks for sticking around. So bye.